Hello, and thank you for joining me for this quick overview of VIPRE Security Awareness Training. In today's presentation, we're going to touch on why security awareness training is important in the first place. We'll move on to a brief overview of VIPRE Security Awareness Training, and finally, we'll wrap up with what the package options are and an example course calendar. So, without further delay, let's begin. I wanted to start with why is security awareness training important because of how quickly threats and other risks end users may encounter have escalated over the past few years. Which actually brings me to the first point I wanted to cover. These end users need education, and I don't mean that in a negative way. Most jobs these days involve a computer somehow, and a majority of them aren't even really technical positions, so we can't always expect a user to be aware of the complicated risks companies face. That leads me to what I like to call the end user factor. And what I mean by that is the end users are more often than not what prompts a security risk in the first place. Be it clicking on a bad link, opening a malicious attachment, etc. Because of this, end user education can be a major factor in reducing the number of times threats can even attempt to breach other security measures. Related to the end user problem are the enhanced risks with working from home. While out of the office, less security measures are typically in place, and the weight falls more and more on the users themselves to be able to understand these risks before they encounter them. One of the big reasons for this is that phishing has actually evolved. Long gone are the days where grammar and spelling mistakes could give away an email's intentions. The bad guys are better than ever at appearing as legitimate, and every person tricked can end up leading to problems. But it's not always clicking on a link or running a file. Malicious users out there are out to try to exploit users in other ways as well, like the tried and true wire me some money ploy, or even to just gain information about higher ups for some future phishing campaign. The point is that end users face a litany of threats and not just an infection on their machine. But I don't want to downplay the severity of an infection because, as we all know, something such as ransomware can cause a huge issue throughout an entire network. Alright, with that said, let's get to VIPRE Security Awareness Training. I want to start with what exactly VIPRE SAT provides. First, we have the end user training aspect. How we start is an initial assessment to gauge end user base level knowledge before any courses are submitted. This also happens periodically to monitor these users' progress. This assessment and the entire learning path of courses and other material comes pre-configured upon setup, but our higher feature levels, which I'll touch on in a moment, are able to heavily customize exactly what information which users receive and when they receive it. Finally, these quick, intuitive courses are delivered as a trickle feed to ensure no one encounters an imposing list of multiple hour-long courses they need to complete. Beyond that, we need a way to test these end users are able to act on the information they receive. And to do so, VIPRE SAT provides multiple ways to simulate various types of phishing attempts. First up, email phishing simulations, which are already part of the default learning path, attempt to periodically trick employees into clicking on a link or following some instructions, and then afterwards letting them know what they've done wrong. From there, VIPRE also provides phishing, which delivers a voicemail to a user with instructions, and I love these because it's not an angle users typically expect. Next up is smishing, which uses text messages to attempt to fool the target into clicking a link or replying to a false malicious message. And finally, to ensure users aren't just picking up and plugging in every USB drive they may find, VIPRE offers USB baiting options, and this avenue's attacks are typically more sophisticated than others, so it's always best to find out who may be likely to cause a problem and teach them before the issue actually occurs. Now, all this is great, but we're going to need reporting to pull it all together. And for this, VIPRE SAT provides an analytics dashboard, as well as retaining end-user testing records. But most importantly, we're able to automatically determine potentially vulnerable users who frequently score poorly on the courses or are easily tricked by the phishing simulations. Because there's always the chance for those people out there who either don't get it or won't try, and it's important to be able to know who they are to allow admins to apply a stricter security posture to these users. Okay, so that's what VIPRE Security Awareness Training provides feature-wise. Let's take a look at what the initial setup looks like. This is actually one of my favorite aspects of VIPRE SAT since it's not desirable to have to spend a large amount of time configuring this type of product. So, the process for us is super simple. After purchase, an email will direct you to choose a password and enter basic company information. From there, the learners just need to be added, and this can be done through a CSV file import or an LDAP sync. And actually, that's it. From this point, the entire pre-configured course, including the email phishing sims, will begin for the imported users, starting with the initial assessment, and the entire process is effectively complete. That said, we do have the optional step on our higher feature levels, which, again, I'll cover in a moment, to set up the phishing and smishing simulations as desired. And after this is complete, all that's left is to let the courses roll out and wait for the results. While on the note of the courses themselves, I wanted to show the end user side of things. So once registering them through the import user step that we just touched on, learners will receive an email to set up their account. From there, they'll choose a password, which they'll use to log in. And once they do so, their dashboard will open, allowing them to view currently assigned courses and eventually those they end up completing. Next, choosing My Courses will display their actively assigned lesson. And finally, choosing Launch will begin their initial assessment. Additionally, any courses assigned in the future will be launched directly from the notification email they receive. And there you have the end user side. Our final section today will cover the package options available for VIPRE Security Awareness Training, as well as an example calendar so we can visualize the process. So I've actually mentioned the feature levels multiple times, and here they are. The first package is our Essentials option, and with this level, a course or phishing sim will be sent to learners on a 30-day cadence, meaning they'll receive material about once a month. Specifically, this material will consist of our SciQ learning assessment to check initial end-user understanding, 4 full courses, 2 micro courses, and 6 phishing simulation emails. And all of this is going to be fully configured upon setup and initiated upon the initial user import. From there, our Advanced package steps things up a bit with a 15-day cadence, meaning learners would receive typically 1 course and 1 phishing simulation email every month. Along with the material provided by Essentials, Advanced adds 3 more full courses, 4 more micro courses, and unlocks unlimited phishing email campaigns outside of the 12 pre-configured with the default learning path. And what these allow is for specific campaigns to be created to, for example, mimic a phishing message that's commonly received by the network. Additionally, Advanced adds the option of 1 phishing and 1 smishing sim per user to identify those who may be vulnerable to these attack methods. And finally, Advanced is also able to set up USB drop campaigns to find those who might be plugging these devices in without a thought. And our highest end package is called Enterprise and is available to anyone looking to test at least 100 end users. This level offers the same setup as Advanced, but triples the number of phishing and smishing sims per user, and provides access to the full course list, allowing for multiple customized learning paths to be assigned to different groups of users. And, that said, the default learning path is still pre-configured so that you don't have to do any configuration to get the default options from Advanced. But last but not least, Enterprise does also offer API integration options. And there we are, the various feature levels VIPRE Security Awareness Training offers. Which leads us to the last item I would like to touch on today, an example calendar to visualize how material is divvied out to the end users. The material we're about to run through is the default learning path that comes pre-configured with VIPRE SAT upon setup. So here we have a calendar, and for the purpose of this example, we're going to be starting the process in January. The left side shows the process for Essentials, and the right the process for Advanced and Enterprise. Remember, Enterprise has the same default path but offers our full course list for customizations beyond that initial setup. Let's start with the PsyQ assessment that learners receive to gauge their cybersecurity understanding. From there, let's toss in the full courses, then the micro modules, and finally, the phishing simulations. As you can see, the Essentials package typically provides 1 bit of material a month, while Advanced and Enterprise up the cadence to 1 course and 1 phishing sim monthly. And to think, this is all fully configured and just waiting for users to be imported. And with that, we've officially covered everything I wanted to go over about VIPRE Security Awareness Training. As you've seen, VIPRE SAT is incredibly easy to set up, provides multiple avenues to identify vulnerable users, and has multiple packages to ensure the right fit. I hope you found this overview beneficial, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Stay safe.